present two numbers, 288 and 0. According to Grabo and Rose in 2018, 288 is the number of school shootings that there have been in between the years 2009 and 2018 in the United States, while 0 is the number in Australia. The largest difference is gun laws. The freedom that we have in the United States is too much, while in other countries they have figured out ways to restrict gun laws in a way that keeps more people safe and reduces shootings overall. If rules aren't put into place in the United States, more innocent people are going to die. The use and ownership of guns is something many people in the United States take part in. Whether for hunting or for protection, many people know someone that owns a gun and knows how dangerous that they can be. And this provides a good reason as to why everyone should listen to this speech. After reading many articles on the subject, as well as doing multiple days of research, I feel that I am properly informed to share everything I've learned and provide good evidence as to why the laws need to change. I'm going to be persuading my audience of the need for gun control in the United States and why it is absolutely necessary to stop further human-caused disasters from taking place. In this speech, I will be discussing acquiring guns and the dangers of how that process goes. I will next be convincing my audience of how gun control has negatively impacted the United States. And lastly, I will be talking about gun control in other countries and comparing and contrasting between the United States and those countries. To begin, I'd like to discuss the acquisition of a gun and what the negatives have been with that process so far. We get our right to own guns through the Second Amendment, and according to ProCon in 2019, although we have the right to bear arms, that does not mean an unlimited right. We do not get to have every single type of gun, and we do not have the right to be doing shootings or killing innocent children in schools. According to Euronews, the process is very fast and very minimal. All that's necessary is a quick background check, a paper needs to be filled out, and the FBI is called to make sure the information is accurate. Unfortunately, there have been many times when there have been malfunctions in the systems, causing for people to get guns that should not have them, which has actually come out with multiple different shooters. Mental problems also come into play, as many incidents have taken place when someone mentally unstable was given a gun. According to McGinty, Webster, and Berry in 2013, people cannot be turned away guns if they've never been charged with a felony or a crime. An example of this can be seen in the Parkland shooter. According to Rubio in 2019, it was said that there were around 45 calls made about the shooter before he went to the school, as well as one woman even predicting that he would become a shooter if his guns were not taken away, as he did not seem mentally stable. However, he had never committed a crime, and so it was legal for him to own those guns, which resulted in tragedy. Now that I have discussed how easy it is to obtain a gun in the United States, I am going to be furthering my argument with the negatives of non-restrictive gun laws in the United States. According to Donahue and Belota in 2019, a mass shooting can be defined as an incident in which 6 or more people were killed in one time span. According to Columbia Broadcasting Systems in 2020, in 2019 alone, there were 417 mass shootings in the United States. Gun reform also is a big part of this. People have access to rapidly shooting semi-automatic guns, and according to Statista in 2020, handguns are what are used most frequently in mass shootings. One ban did make a difference, but is no longer in place. According to Donahue and Belota in 2019, the assault weapon ban, which was in place from 1994 to 2004, had a 25% drop in gun massacres and a 40% drop in fatalities, but was still phased out. Another reason is that when devastating incidents occur, although the United States is supportive and does whatever they can for the families involved, policies do not change, and in other countries they do. There has been many times when a horrible tragedy happened in other countries, and that is what set off policy change, but in the United States it hasn't. According to Morale in 2018, the current policies are not strong enough to prevent gun violence as they are, and if we cannot change policies, then things aren't going to get better. According to another article by Luca, Minota, and Poliquin in 2016, public attention and accountability do not go hand in hand with the policy making in the United States, making things much more difficult to change. The guns currently legal are also not necessary. According to an article by Salinska in 2007, most guns are used for recreation and sport, meaning that they're not even necessary to life. Semi-automatic guns hold up to 300 rounds as well, which is pointless and dangerous. Even if the gun was being used for protection, no one needs that kind of ammo or that many rounds. According to Reins in 2019, the less people with dangerous guns that are rapidly firing, the safer everyone will be overall. Now that I've discussed the negatives associated with current gun regulations, I'd like to move on to gun control in other countries. Looking to Australia, the laws there are much more restrictive, and in 1996 they decided to outlaw the use of semi-automatic and pump-action shotguns for civilians. According to Chapman and etc., in the 18 years before this was put into place, there were 13 mass shootings, and in the 10.5 years after, there have been 0. They didn't make the choice to completely ban guns, but they made the choice to ban the ones that weren't necessary, which has made a huge difference overall. Canada, however, is the opposite. They have more guns, but they also have more rules. According to Copel in 1991, there's a restricted weapon rule, meaning that people are only allowed to have the guns under if they need protection for a good reason, target practice, for a profession, or for a gun collection. They also need a firearms acquisition certificate, and with these more restrictive laws, there are less shootings taking place because even though people are allowed to have the guns, they have to go through a more rigorous process to get them. Gun violence in the United States versus other countries is something that should really open people's eyes up to what's going on. The United States has many more mass shootings and school shootings than almost any other country. And according to Grabo and Rose, between 2009 and 2018, there were 288 school shootings in the US. In Canada and France, there were only 2. In Germany, there was 1. In Australia and the 8 other developed countries listed, there were 0. According to an article posted by the British Broadcasting Corporation, when a comparison was made between the percent of homicides through violence, the United States came in at 73%. Australia came in at only 13%, while Canada came in at 38%. Now that I've argued how gun control is doing better in other countries, I'd like to go over what I have talked about in this speech. Gun control is necessary to prevent mass and school shootings. To review, I first argued how easily guns can be obtained in the US and why this has been bad so far. Next, I argued for the negatives of unrestricted gun laws in the US. Finally, I persuaded my audience of how gun controls in other countries are making a real difference in those countries related to gun violence. Restricted gun control has been shown to make a real difference all over the world. To begin making changes to the laws we have now, one needs to take a step out of their comfort zone, go to a rally, sign a petition, and do whatever you can to make this country a safer place, not only for us, but for our future children as well. Thank you.